Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. And this is a Halloween special. I'm going to talk today about the ghosts of Wormwood Scrubs. It's a little strange story. I was the duty officer on nights in D Wing at Wormwood Scrubs. It would be just gone midnight. I was the only officer on duty in the wing. All the inmates were safely locked in their cells. It was really cold. It was a January evening. Outside there was indeed a full moon. And as I was patrolling the landing, somebody on D4 landing rang their alarm bell, banging on the door. I better deal with this. So I went up to D4 landing and went to the very end cell at the top of D4 landing, and went to the cell door and said to the inmate inside, what is the problem? You know, why are you banging on your door? What's the problem? He said, there's a woman in here. There's a woman on my bed. I said, no women in here. This is the male prison. There's no women at all in here. None at all. I said, you've just been having a very bad dream. But he insisted that there was a woman sitting on his bed. I looked through the Judas hole and there was nobody there, just an inmate, just a prisoner in prison shirt. I said to him, there's nobody in there but you. He said, no, there's been a woman in here. She's been sitting on my bed. I'm very, very, very afraid. I said, you don't need to be afraid. I said, it's late at night and this is Wormwood Scrubs D-Wing. You're perfectly safe. I said, you're in your cell? Yeah. I said, but I'm here and I can tell you there's no women here. So it took me about half an hour to placate this man, talk him down, because he was really panicking. And I really thought it took about half an hour to calm him down. Then he finally persuaded him to get back into his bed. And in his bed he obviously went to sleep and turned the lights on. And I went down and continued my duties, patrolling D-Wing. The next morning the senior officer came round to relieve me of my duties and said, you know, you've missed one of your checking calls around about midnight. So I explained that I'd been on D4 answering an inmate's call who was panicking because he said that there was a woman in his cell. I said, obviously there wasn't. This is a male prison. There's no women here. Oh, really? The senior officer said. He'd probably been in the job about 25 years. He said, what did he tell you about this woman? I said, he just briefly described her in a long grey dress with long hair, and he just said she was sitting on his bed. But he was terrified, so it took me about half an hour to calm him down, you know. He said, I said, but there are no women in D-Wing, no women in the prison. He said, I'll tell you something, Mr. Sutton. He said, in the 1920s, D-Wing was the female prison. He said, and there's a lady that haunts this prison, and she's on D4 landing. When the women were in here in the 1920s, they were allowed to keep their children with them. But at the age of 6 months, the children were taken away and put into care, whilst the female prisoners continued to do their sentence. He said, this particular lady, when they took a child from her, she couldn't face it. She had a nervous breakdown or was really anguished and threw herself off D4 landing and killed herself, landing on the floor the hard stone floor of D4 landing. He said, and that woman was held in the very end cell of D4. And that is the ghost of D-Wing, frequently seen. During that week I was on nights, I was continuously patrolling the landing and hearing the ghostly steps that were walking behind me, but they were not footsteps made by anything of this earth. And that is the ghost story for Halloween here on Tales from the Jail.